What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Today we are going to be talking about one of my former favorite WWE superstars. I mean, I can't really deny I like this guy. You guys have seen me grow up here on YouTube. I literally purchased his chalkline jacket. You know, these things aren't exactly cheap. You know, it's a pretty nice jacket. I don't hate the guy overall. You know, I still somewhat like him. So I guess this can be coming from a Seth Rollins fan, sort of. For this video, I guess we can just I don't know. Can we hang it up here? Is that gonna work? I don't know, maybe it's gonna fall and that'll be really funny. But yeah, we are talking about Seth Rollins and what went down Monday night on Raw, where he essentially turned heel on all of his fellow Raw roster members for their poor performance over at Survivor Series, even though he was like the team captain over Raw, and you know, he kind of screwed up for them too. So you know, it's not really all of their fault, Seth, as much as it is yours. But we're not going to specifically be talking about that necessarily. We're going to be talking about the rise and fall of Seth Rollins. So I think it's pretty easy to pinpoint whenever Rollins came into the WWE. We're not going to really talk about Ring of Honor and FCW and Tyler Black and all that cool stuff that he did before. But he came into the WWE in the NXT developmental system, became the first ever NXT champion before it was cool to be NXT champion like it is now. He'd get called up with the Shield, debut with Reigns and Ambrose, absolutely destroyed, I think it was like Ryback and John Cena, and then go on an absolute tear where they'd eventually turn face, go on to become one of the most memorable factions of all time and one of many people's favorites. He'd go on to turn on the Shield in one of the best segments of 2014, one of the biggest shock betrayals in WWE. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Everyone really thought it was going to be Dean Ambrose who was going to turn on the Shield. You know, he had more of that heel sort of character. Rollins was more of like the flippy, acrobatic guy, so it makes sense that he'd be an easy to cheer babyface, whereas Ambrose would be the heel. And then Roman would probably be the guy that they were going to push straight to the top, which of course they eventually would, but we're talking about Seth Rollins here. He'd go on an amazing heel run where he'd win Money in the Bank, go on to cash in for the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event of WrestleMania 31. One of my favorite moments as a wrestling fan, one of my favorite Seth Rollins moments, of course. He'd have a pretty wicked run with the championship, defending against guys like John Cena, winning the US title at the same time, which was pretty amazing. You know, he'd fight guys like Dean Ambrose and Kane and Roman Reigns. And then he did tear his ACL, MCL, and meniscus and was forced to go out and relinquish his title, go have surgery, and be out for a number of months. Now, it was during this time that Rollins started getting really popular because, you know, absence makes the heart grow fonder. This is sort of the time where I started to be like, damn, you know, I really miss having Seth Rollins on TV. This is sort of when I was getting to the age where I didn't just like baby faces and I liked heels in my wrestling as well. It was mainly like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens that kind of changed that for me. And I guess also when he was feuding with Brock Lesnar, because, you know, I just really don't like Brock Lesnar. But Seth had that wicked heel run. He went out with the injury. He would come back and attack Roman Reigns, who was the current WWE champion, after he had just defended the title against AJ Styles in a wicked match. And I popped so hard when he came back. I was so excited. I was like, we need to see AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. Oh my god, that'd be so good in WWE. Oh my god. And it kind of didn't happen because the first sort of brand split happened there, where Rollins ended up going to Raw, Styles to SmackDown. Rollins would kind of stay heel for a while, but he was kind of tweener. You know, a lot of the fans sort of liked him. He'd have a pretty amazing match with Finn Balor for the Universal Championship, and then the unfortunate Finn Balor injury happened. And then during a fatal four-way match with Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, and Big Cass of all people, Seth Rollins would be turned on by Triple H, sort of a babyface turn, even though it was like a heel turning on a heel, so he wasn't like fully face yet. This was the start of his whole babyface turn. You know, he'd go on to have that feud with Triple H. Pretty amazing match at WrestleMania 33, in my opinion. One of my favorite matches of that year's WrestleMania, as someone who did attend it live. And then he went on this long babyface run. Now, Seth as a babyface, a lot of people really don't think work, and I can completely agree with that. I think he's much better as a heel, but you know what? He's a pretty damn good babyface too. He's got an insane moveset. He's a pretty likable character on TV whenever he's booked right. And by that is where we go to 2018, which in my opinion is when Rollins was at his best. Not the 2015 heel run, 2018 Monday Night Rollins run. This is right around the Elimination Chamber. He had that amazing gauntlet match where he beat Roman Reigns and John Cena in the same night. I think he lost to, like, was it Elias or Braun or something like that? On the road to Elimination Chamber, everyone got really behind him. He had that Monday Night Rollins promo. He'd go into Mania, win win the Intercontinental Championship from Miz and Finn Balor in a triple threat match, and then he'd have this amazing Intercontinental Championship run where he was consistently having good matches with guys like Ziggler, Miz, Elias, a whole bunch of wrestlers, and they were just putting on consistently good matches, and everyone liked Seth Rollins at this time. He was literally everyone's favorite, and we all wanted him to go up to the main event picture, win the world title, and carry that thing around and defend it. So after having a pretty wicked 2018, 2019 rolls around, everyone kind of thinks he's going to win the Royal Rumble, but you know, it's not as predictable as it has been in some of the previous years. And he does. He wins the Royal Rumble, and he's going on to WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar, who everyone just, you know, kind of wants the title off of. And he does it. He slays the beast, wins the title, comes out of WrestleMania, the draft happens, and he's entering a feud with AJ Styles. What could possibly go wrong here? Well, the AJ match, you know, that was actually pretty good. There was a pretty wicked counter, I believe, in that match. The stop into the Styles Clash, you know, they had a pretty amazing feud overall. It could have gone on a few months longer. Personally, I wish they would have saved this for maybe a bigger pay-per-view like SummerSlam. But then after that is kind of where it all went downhill for Rollins. He was put into a feud with Baron Corbin. I'm of the group that thinks that Baron Corbin is nowhere near Seth Rollins' level, personally. Just not a big fan of Baron Corbin. Never liked him, if I'm being honest. He's not amazing in the ring. I know he doesn't do all the flips and springboards and stuff. He does the more safe sort of style, but he just wasn't the right guy to fight Seth Rollins for that title, in my opinion. And he belongs more so in the mid-card, but we had this feud between Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin just drag on for so long. Becky Lynch got involved. Lacey Evans got involved, and I honestly don't like her either, if I'm being honest. And everyone just slowly started turning on Seth Rollins and saying how awful this feud was going, and that we just, yeah, nobody liked it really. It was really boring. Everyone wanted the title off of Rollins. They were all starting to turn on him, starting to boo him. Lesnar would cash in his Money in the Bank contract and get the title back, but would then drop it back to Rollins. So, you know, why did this have to happen at all? Why couldn't we have given the contract to someone like Ali? Come on, WWE, you gotta do this for me. Ali is so damn good, man. Come on, just push Ali. But Seth would get back the title, and then I honestly can't remember what he did. I can't remember if he feuded more with Baron Corbin. I remember the Braun Strowman match happened. He was Raw Tag Team Champions with Strowman, well being Universal Champion, and feuding with him at the same time, and it was just kind of like boring, because I feel like Braun's character is just so stale at this point, and they need to do something new with him. And not to mention, on the side of that, he started being an idiot over on the Twitter. He called out Will Ospreay, he called out Kenny Omega, he was saying that AEW is like not on WWE's level, and just a bunch of nonsense, just saying crap about the business. He said that like Kenny Omega isn't like on his level because he's not in WWE, and the only way that he'll be on his level is if, you know, the two of them were to have a match at WWE's WrestleMania. He was comparing bank accounts with Will Ospreay, who, for one, is a better wrestler than you, Seth Rollins. And then the Fiend happened. WWE put him into a feud with their most popular character at the time, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Who all the fans were behind it. It's one of the few things WWE's done in recent memory that just everyone seems to flock to and just be really behind. And it's great for Bray. He's been in the company for so long. He's almost achieved the world title so many times. He did win it for like 2 weeks back in 2016, but you know, it wasn't that good of a reign. And yeah, just Bray Wyatt really deserves it, so I am happy that Bray Wyatt did get this spot. But they had this match at Hell in a Cell where they had the Hell in a Cell match end in a disqualification for the second year in a row, because remember that thing with Lesnar last year? So they all kind of quickly turned on Seth by the finish of that match. They all wanted Bray Wyatt to win the title, but it didn't seem like WWE wanted to put the title on him yet, which, here's the big thing. If you don't want to put the title on Wyatt, and you know everyone else wants it, don't put him in a feud with the champion. Let them drag it out longer. Make him win the Royal Rumble and win the championship at WrestleMania. Really build the Fiend up and feed him all these other talent first. But no, WWE just rushed it. So that turned even more people on Seth Rollins, because the Fiend was just so popular that everyone was cheering for him. So it really did nothing for Seth Rollins, the champion, who was supposed to be the face and the guy that we were cheering in this feud. But the kicker in all of this is that the draft happened. Bray Wyatt was actually drafted to SmackDown before winning the Universal Championship. Now the title's blue and over on SmackDown and all that stuff. Brock Lesnar quit SmackDown and came over to Monday Night Raw. And now we're right back to square one with a kind of stale Seth Rollins over on Monday Night Raw. He can't go back after Bray Wyatt now because Bray's over on SmackDown with Brock Lesnar as champion on his brand. So what are we going to do with Seth Rollins? You know, Survivor Series happens, the Raw vs. SmackDown thing, his brand doesn't come out on top, so it's the perfect time to turn him heel. And they pull the trigger on it. They do it pretty well. He calls out everyone from Rey Mysterio to Charlotte Flair to Randy Orton, which, you know, that part was kind of funny. But he mainly focuses on Kevin Owens. They have a match in the main event in which AOP comes out. We haven't seen them properly on television in a while. They've had, you know, the odd little match here and there since sort of coming back and doing these backstage vignettes. But AOP's, you know, back. One of them was injured for a while. But anyways, AOP came down and they started attacking Kevin Owens, and they kind of just looked at Rollins and left. Rollins would hit a stomp on Owens, and that would pretty much close out last week's episode of Monday Night Raw. So the big thing is, where do they go from here? It seems they're pulling the trigger on the heel turn, which I think is the right move. A potential pairing with AOP, which could, you know, kind of work for him. He kind of worked good in stables when you look at the Authority, whenever he had Kane and J&J Security and the Big Show and Triple H. You know, the Authority was pretty awesome with Seth Rollins in it. But now it seems that he's been paired with AOP, and I don't know who tweeted this. I can't remember for the life of me. If I can find it, I will put it into the video. But someone tweeted they need to be called the Architects of Pain, and that's perfect. I love that. Can this heel turn Rollins' career back around? You know, have him be a good cocky heel like he was back in 2015. Bust out that old cocky laugh that he always used to have. That was always great, wasn't it? And let's let Seth Rollins do what he does best, which is clearly being hated, because that seems to be the person that he is in real life if we're going by Twitter and most fan interactions with him, because the babyface thing really didn't work. And if they ever do turn him face again, what they need to do is do what they did in 2018 and just let him go out there and have banger matches week in and week out, whether it's for the Intercontinental title or the World title. Elevate that title up, you know, let that one get more shine being on the sofa of Brock Lesnar. But anyways, that's pretty much my discussion video about Seth Rollins, his sort of rise and fall, and what do they do next with him. I don't know where this whole feud is going to lead to. Seems like Kevin Owens is going to be involved with it for now. Will it get him back into the world title picture? I honestly don't know, because I don't see them doing another Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar feud, especially with Rollins now being heel, so I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do here. You know, maybe he's going to feud with mid-carders like Ricochet or something. He could win the US title from Rey Mysterio. That might be a good move, but overall, I just don't see him feuding with Lesnar. He's definitely not going to feud with someone like Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton. I don't really see that happening at all. But regardless, that's pretty well going to do it for the video. Sort of my thoughts on the whole Seth Rollins thing as of late. I'm still a fan of him. I want this heel turn to go well, but all the stupid shit he's been saying on Twitter and how stale his character has gotten over the last number of months, I don't know if it's his fault. I don't know if it's WWE's fault. I kind of want to, you know, put it as a mixture of the two, as just the person Rollins is for like his online behavior and all that, but also WWE because of like the Baron Corbin feud and all that. But anyways, I digress. That's just my opinion on the rise, fall, and heel turn of Seth Rollins. Let me know down in the comments below, are you still a fan of Rollins? Do you think there's any hope for this heel turn? Like the video if you did enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all very soon.